Happy Thursday, guys. Welcome into PuckTime on WagerTalk TV. It is time to go over a handful of picks in the NHL. Best bets, sides, totals, team totals, props, all that good stuff right here on PuckTime. Myself, Andrew McInnis, Carmine Bianco, my co-host as always, and Bryan Leonard. I told you guys yesterday, he's not in the bullpen. He's pretty much a starting pitcher with us here on PuckTime. We got him in the roster with us again today. Look, it was a smaller slate on Wednesday. We told you it was going to be a profitable one. Well, we cashed some tickets and nice underdog ticket as well, as Bryan and I both liked the Rangers in that underdog spot. Although the price went down, it was a pretty good Wednesday. Let's try and make it a pretty good Thursday here, guys. And Carm, we'll give you an excuse for missing yesterday's show. You know what? You got to feel like a kid again. And I know that you are a diehard football fan. And you were able to grab some tickets yesterday. So that's awesome, man.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, I was watching the show yesterday and trying to comment while I was in queue on the line. And if you've ever been in queue for any of these tickets, kind of like the World Series ones, you have to know that you have to grab your tickets and check out as quick as possible because the games sell out. So I'm in queue. I'm just going to mention this real quick because we had a lot to cover. I'm in queue and I'm reading some of the stuff on the X from people who had a window to buy their tickets, Andrew, an hour earlier than me, and they're all bitching. Frozen screens, white screens, they go to check out, not enough time, the prices are higher than what it shows the lowest available ticket prices. And that helped me because I knew, let me get in there, I'm just going to snag a bunch of tickets for the group stage games, the knockout stage games, hit checkout, and then I even called while I was in queue, Visa, to let them know that a bunch of charges were coming through on my card. Do not deny them. They are not fraudulent. They're coming from FIFA in Europe. Got in, snagged my tickets, and got out. And I was so happy. So going to get to go see a bunch of World Cup games. I could only get the ones in Canada. So I have a friend who's going to work with me on getting the ones in the U.S. And I'll be traveling throughout the U.S. to watch some games as well, too. A big congrats to you, Andrew. I went to sleep early. I had Utah in regulation. They were down 2-1 at the end of the second period, but you were sweating a 5% play on the New Jersey team total. And I woke up to all these messages and I'm like, oh shit, did the play lose? And I look and I see Utah scored 4 goals in the third period. So I win mine. I see you got a nice overtime victory. Overtime's been good to the two of us this week. So
OT
congratulations on hitting that 5% play, man.
OT magic. You got to love it. Thanks, Carmen. You know, it's funny because I'll be real. The team totals, that was a thing that I adopted last year. And man, did it go well for me last year. And the best part I always say about it is the prices, right? But then I was thinking to myself, when that game was 1-1, I was like, if the Devils end up winning this game like 2-1 or 3-1, I'm going to go crazy because I put that team total out. So I need 4. So 3-3 going to overtime was about as best as it was going to get because some team was going to have to score 4 to win the game. So regardless of what was going to happen, they were going to have to score 4 once I saw, them give up the third goal. So it was nice to see. But Carm, I'll tell you what, I never thought a defenseman would score a hat trick in that game. I thought maybe Jack Hughes or Heischer or Meyer or those guys would score the goals, but Simon Nemec gets a hat trick. I think it's only the 3rd career ever New Jersey Devil defenseman to get a hat trick.
Did you say Mo? Did you say Mo?
Simone. Simone.
Oh, Simone. I thought I heard Mo, as in momentum.
Momentum is in the building. But I'll tell you, Carm, you want to talk about momentum? And that's what we always say about sports betting is that, look, if I would have lost that pick last night, and a lot of people bought that, and I would have let a lot of people down and would have let myself down. But I watched that whole game, and I was banking on some regression from Spencer Knight. But eventually, and Bryan and I talked about this on the show, we had a good conceptual conversation about, when to start fading teams, when to start jumping on them. I didn't think that Chicago was going to be able to sustain what they were doing. Like, they've improved, but man, their defensive numbers, they're still giving up so many chances. But I'll tell you, one of the best trades that we saw last year that has to be taken into consideration right now at this point is the Spencer Knight trade with Seth Jones. Seth Jones went on to win a Stanley Cup, but you now have a future goaltender with the Blackhawks for many, many, many years to come. And young superstars like Bedard, they need their goaltender. And now they have one with Spencer Knight. So super excited. Thank you, Carm. And you, Cash, you continue to be on a roll as well with Utah. Today, we're going to look at Anaheim and Detroit. Dallas visiting my Montreal Canadiens after they got their butts kicked against the Kings. Brian's going to dissect the Oilers and Blue Jackets game, and we'll take a look at the Islanders and Knights. Maybe we'll get Brian's thoughts as well on the Vegas game as well.
We have to. And then I have a pod play that is going to make you guys think that I've been drinking early this morning, or I have a couple shots of Bailey's in this coffee, but I really don't. The shot of Bailey's is coming up in segment number 4. That's Bryan Leonard. He is the shot of Bailey's. But it is an interesting one. It is a plus money one, and we'll see if we get there. And then we'll also talk some news happening in the NHL as well too, Andrew. But let's kick it off, man. Detroit and Anaheim. Wings minus 133 at home. Ducks plus 110. And I know a lot of people are thinking, Andrew, the Ducks plus 110, they're playing so well right now, except for that loss in Colorado. How are you breaking this one down? 6.5 seems a little high for me in this one.
Yeah, it's just like what you said there, Carm. Like, I think that very similar to what we saw as the price in Colorado, a lot of people are going to look at this game and say, are you kidding me? I'm going to be able to get Anaheim at this price. And I think that this price is priced accordingly for a reason. You know, very similar to the Blackhawks. I will say that I think we're going to start seeing that defensive regression come in from the Anaheim Ducks. We've been waiting on it, and it hasn't really come quite yet, but this could be a good opportunity to do so with them. And I'll tell you what, when you look at this Red Wings team, they should not be happy with their last couple results, right? They got shut out against the Knights, poor effort against the Rangers, and then a poor effort against the Blackhawks. I don't want to find myself constantly trying to look to bet on teams that have not been playing well, but this has to be a pretty good situation for it. And now you also look at that revenge spot as well, the last time these teams met. And we're at that point in the year now where we're, a month and a half in, where you are seeing teams get that revenge, not just within their own division, but within different conferences as well. That's the case here. The last time these teams met in Anaheim, it was 5-2 just a couple weeks ago. I lean towards this Detroit side here, Carm. I do lean towards it, but I think that, if you're looking towards it under, you got to look probably towards some type of team total under, because I do think the winner of this game has to score 4 goals. So 4 or 5 for the winner. But I think Detroit can utilize the fact they have the last change in this one. I think that they're going to be extremely hungry. And most importantly, they have not played a game since Sunday. So I do like that rest factor for them as well. So it's going to be interesting, Carm. And the odds tell you all you have to know. Like, I truthfully regret not playing on the Avalanche the other day. It would have had to have been a team total or a regulation or some type of play. But how many people, I talked about it with Brian yesterday, how many people saw that Anaheim price against Colorado and lined up at the window thinking they had the best underdog bet of the year? And then Colorado said, hey, you might be next to us in the standings. Doesn't mean you're nearly as good as us. And they certainly flexed their muscles on them.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. And that's the thing, is when a team that last year didn't have a lot of success, all of a sudden comes out of the gate and they're winning a lot of games and they're playing extremely well. We sort of look at, that small sample size, and, we're almost 25% of the season gone. We're like 18 games into the season, but you see that and you think that this is something that's just going to happen throughout the rest of the year. It did for the Washington Capitals last year, but I think the Washington Capitals last year were a much better team if you want to compare them to Anaheim this year. I think Washington was a lot better. if we're doing a side-by-side comparison. Listen, Anaheim's going to win some games. They've got a better coaching staff with Joel Quenneville, but it's one of those ones where they're going to go through some losing skids, and this could be the start of one. I talk about, they went into that game against Colorado having won 9 of 10 games, if you use that sample size. And then they lose 4-1 in Colorado. Now they make the trip to Detroit to face the Red Wings. You know me, Andrew. I'm one of those ones that when a team is on a win streak and they lose a game, I like to come right back on them to lose another game. And conversely, it's the other way around. A team on a losing streak, once they win a game, it's like that monkey's off their back. They play a little looser. They're not making sawdust out of that stick by holding it so tight. So with that said, I like Detroit in this one. But even if you look at the analytics, Detroit went to Anaheim towards the end of the road trip on October 31st. They lose that game 5-2. The analytics, high danger chances, I think even the shots on goal were all in Detroit's favor in that one, despite losing 5-2. It was 4 point. Let me see if I can bring this up real quick. The XG in that game, 4.07 to 3.57 for the Red Wings. Now that's close. It's a half goal off, but a 5-2 final score. You get an empty netter, you get a power play goal, you get a shorthanded goal by Anaheim. They basically scored every goal every way possible against the Red Wings, who were again at the tail end of a road trip. So Detroit to bounce back here. It is Gibson confirmed, and we don't know who's in goal yet for Anaheim, although they are showing expected as Mrazek. So we'll go with that one, Andrew. But it is Detroit for me, minus 133.
Carm, and I wanted to mention, I love that XG stuff because you're right. Despite what the final score was, Detroit did look really good in that meeting. But look, like I said, I don't want to make a habit of going against really good goaltenders, and I've been using a lot more websites lately to look towards advanced metrics for goaltenders. Mrazek is probable, as they have listed, as you mentioned. He's 3-0 on the year, but a 4.56 GAA, 8.64 save percentage. And I'll tell you what, if we can go against this Anaheim team without Lucas Dostal, it's a huge win because, looking at Money Puck, looking at the goaltending situations here, and this is coming from a guy that faded Spencer Knight, who I just said has been unbelievable. When you look at the top 3 goalies in goals saved above expected this season, Connor Hellebuck is up there, number 1 spot. He's always up there. Spencer Knight and Lucas Dostal. So 2 young teams with Chicago and Anaheim, very much so working off of great goaltending. And don't get me wrong, Anaheim has been improved. I'm not saying that. People in my comment section on my night show just really don't think I like this Ducks team. But when you are constantly relying on good goaltending, Carm, it can hurt you. So as much as I like to look at some of these statistics for goalies and see who's been playing well, I also want to look at who could potentially be regressing because some of these numbers just simply aren't sustainable. So getting Mrazek versus getting Dostal is a pretty big W for us, I would say, if we like the Wings in this game, Carm.
Yeah, no, I think so. And a good mention of the goalies. Andrew, before we get to this next game, the Montreal Canadiens, who you seem to have a real affection for against the Dallas Stars, who I liked at least in their last game because they cashed the 5% for me. And thank you, Coach Rich, for that comment in the comment section. We talk about goalies, and we're not covering this game, but Toronto plays the LA Kings tonight. And there's a lot of news coming out this morning, so I want to cover that. Austin Matthews out for the Leafs tonight with an injury. In that game, he took a cross-check into the boards from, Zadorov? Was it Zadorov? And the Leafs never reacted. It wasn't until Domi a little later on in the game went toe-to-toe with someone. But I wanted to talk about Anthony Stolarz real quickly. Anthony Stolarz out. The Leafs have called up I guess he's a Russian goalie because I cannot pronounce this guy's name. If you ask me, I could reach into a cereal box of alphabets, pull out the letters, and have a better chance of pronouncing it than I can this guy's name. But he's called up. Hildeby's going to start tonight for the Leafs. Ever since the game Toronto played against Seattle, where Anthony Stollarts called out his team, and specifically William Nylander, because Nylander wasn't back checking. The Kraken scored a goal and then won it in overtime. Since calling out his team, you would think that the team would step up for the goalie. 4.00 goals against average, 767 save percentage for Anthony Stollarts for the Toronto Maple Leafs. That is ugly. You don't see 7.67 save percentages very often, unless it's me between the pipes. But with that said, we'll see what happens tonight with those two teams. But Montreal and Dallas, Andrew, I'm going to let you go first on this one because you already know what I'm going on this one. So give me your thoughts.
Carm, I think I know what you're going, and I'm going to go half of what I think you're going. So we don't want to have the same play here. So look, in the last game, I talked about maybe a potential play on the first period under 1.5 goals, or no goal in the first 10 minutes. And both those ended up looking pretty good, even though there were a ton of chances in the Kings and Canadiens game. One thing about this Montreal Canadiens team is I try and remain at least the slightest bit of unbiased here when it comes to the Montreal Canadiens. Carm, they've looked good this year so far, but a lot of the wins they have had this season have come against non-playoff opponents. I believe something along the lines of like 12 of their next 14 games are against teams that have made the playoffs last year, which is going to be a huge change for this team. But I think that when you look at this Montreal Canadiens team, they looked flat. They looked lethargic. They lacked energy. They created some chances, but after those chances weren't going in against a great goalie with Darcy Kemper, who's having a good year, they seemed frustrated, and then the LA Kings walked all over them. In this game, I'm looking for a fast start. In this game, I do like the over 1.5 in the first period, and I also like the over in the full game here. This Dallas Stars team, coming off a game which made you very happy because they, didn't have the best start. They went down the first period. Then the second period, they get on the board. Third period, get on the board and win the game in overtime. But they're going to want to have a better start as well, especially offensively. They can't be waiting too long into games to get their offense going. So I like goals in this game overall. I like goals early in this one. And I actually have 2 player props from this game in my props parlay today at the end of the show. But Carm, it's going to be very interesting because we're going to find out. We're going to get some, put it this way, we're going to get some really good prices involving the Montreal Canadiens in the next 2.5 to 3 weeks. So if people think they're the real deal, or you like the team totals, or you want to bet on them, you're going to find out what kind of team they are. But if you think this team is going to finally show that regression, this might be the chance to do it, because when you talk about schedule forecasting, it's not easy for them. They had LA Tuesday, Dallas tonight. They've got Boston on Saturday. Who would have thought Boston would be a tough opponent? There's some tougher matchups next week. It's always tough against the Leafs, even though they're not playing well right now. And then they go on a West Coast road trip. So not going to be easy for this team, Carm. I think I know where you're going with your play, but do you agree with me that there's going to be some desperation in the air tonight?
Yeah, we always, Andrew, we always seem to reference on the shows, teams' schedules and how they're playing, and you can only beat the teams in front of you. The important thing for the Montreal Canadiens is, number one, is to stay healthy throughout the year. Easier said than done. Injuries happen because you start to worry about depth. But winning those games against non-playoff teams is actually a good thing. If you were losing those games against non-playoff teams, then you would have to worry. The whole idea is to accumulate as many points as you can get before the year turns to 2026, and you stay in that top 8 to make that push. The farther the teams behind you fall back, the better it is. I talked about a couple of years ago making up 7 points in the final half of the season. Doesn't seem like much, but it is. It's very hard to make those points up, especially when you have to leapfrog teams. So as far as the Montreal Canadiens go, now if you look at this game here, mine's going to be a first period play on Montreal, and only because this has been a profitable angle. Montreal Canadiens this year in the first 20 minutes of a game, and this is the money line, the two-way money line, in 16 games, 8 times they've had the lead, 6 times they've been tied, and only twice have they trailed after the opening 20 minutes. As far as units go, if you're just flat betting the Montreal Canadiens on the first period money line, you're up 5.35 units. At home, they've played 8 games. They've been ahead after 8 games. After the opening 20 minutes, they've been ahead in 5 games, trailing once and tied twice at the end of 20 minutes. Again, profitable. A small loss, a small profit loss on Dallas if you're betting them in those similar situations. So it's the Montreal Canadiens for me. But also, if you look at that game against Ottawa, the game against Ottawa, that was Ottawa's game, and they lost it. They got out to an early lead. Dallas didn't look like they had the legs in the opening 20 minutes, and Ottawa got those 2 goals and then just allowed Dallas back into the game. And in the third period, Dallas outshot Ottawa 17-6, tie it up, send it to overtime, and they had my good buddy Mo with them. So with that said, a similar start by Dallas here. Montreal's going to have the lead after 20 minutes. So give me the Montreal Canadiens first period money line.
Let's go. First period. And, it's important, especially after a game they had. It's important how a team can respond, Carm. So, hey, maybe you don't trust them for the full game, but it's all right. First period.
I got too many. I have too many other games I need to watch. The thing is, I won't even be watching hockey tonight, Andrew. I may be checking the scores on my phone, but I am going downtown to BMO Field. The Canadian national team, soccer team, is playing against Ecuador. So I am taking my wife, who's a huge fan as well, too, bringing a couple friends, and we're going to watch the game. So it's going to be a little chilly, but they have coffee, they have hot chocolate. I'll be fine. They have ciders, they have beer, everything
warm,
you need
man.
to keep you,
Everything
you need to keep you warm. Maybe I'll see Austin Matthews there since he's not in the lineup for the Leafs tonight. Maybe he'll come and catch a soccer game and see how it feels to have a team that wins. Andrew, we got to bring this guy in, man. He did a fantastic job of co-hosting yesterday with you. Look at him. He's wearing the Buster colors today too, just to rub it in. The orange, red, whatever it is. The shot of Bailey's in everyone's coffee. Bryan Leonard, welcome to the show.
Good day for us yesterday on the show. Not a bad day.
Yeah, I really enjoyed being one of the hosts. If any of you guys ever get tired, need a day off, yeah, that was fun. This is actually a Cleveland Browns shirt, and I wear it inside. I'm embarrassed to wear it outside, so I'm getting some use out of it being on the show today.
Brian, we're going to keep you on for a couple segments,
okay,
because we got the Golden Knights that Andrew and I are going to discuss. But anytime we're talking Golden Knights, we have to go to you. You live there. You're on the pulse of what the Golden Knights are and what they're doing. But before that, you have got to play on the Edmonton Oilers, Columbus Blue Jackets, 2 teams that just played a little while ago in oil country. -110 both ways I'm seeing on the early morning line. 6.5 is the total. How are you breaking this one down?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in looking at the schedules, just as you gentlemen are. And, both these teams are playing their third game in 4 days. The Oilers actually in a back-to-back situation. Edmonton outlasted the Flyers last night 2-1 in overtime in Philadelphia. And, that's a 7th extra time game for Edmonton, their last 12 contests. So even though they're playing a lot of games, a lot of them are extra time. So they should be pretty tired right here. They're in the midst of a 7-game road trip, and it's all being played in an 11-day span. So they've had a real tough schedule coming up lately in a lot of games, and it's even, obviously even going to be worse coming up. So I think it's going to be plenty of time to fade a team that went to the championship last year, and we're getting some good numbers against them. I preferred the Philadelphia side yesterday. I didn't have that kind of success that Andrew had in overtime, but it's a situation here that you take a look at the season. The Oilers have been outscored by 9 goals and they're 4-3-3 their last 10 contests. I'm not a big believer in momentum. They are winning, but I still don't think they're playing well. And, you got Columbus team, on the other hand. They're -1 on the season in the net goal department, but 10 of their 16 games have been on the road. They're 5-4-1 their last 10 contests, and it's the first game back in Columbus for the Blue Jackets after a disappointing 1-4 trip. Now, normally we look to fade teams returning home from a winning trip, but that's not the case here. In fact, I mentioned it one of the times I was on about I was really impressed by the way Columbus went into Seattle. Last game of a trip, they were 0-4. Seattle was a team looking for a victory, and Columbus went to overtime and got that victory. That tells me a lot about the heart of this Columbus team. And if you take a look at the way the two teams have played all season long, I think Columbus is the better team, at least the way they've been playing now. At the end of the season, obviously, I said this yesterday, Edmonton's going to be one of the teams that gets there, but they struggled last year at the beginning of the season and got hot late. We're seeing them do the same thing here. In a pickup situation, I really want to fade Edmonton. They've put a lot of time on the ice in the last week or so, and they've got an even tougher schedule coming up. I prefer Columbus in this matchup.
Yeah, I got to say there, Brian, too, with that one, like it was yesterday on the show, I talked with you about, hey, maybe if they didn't deserve to win their game, the Oilers, they were going to at least come in with some momentum, and maybe they created some chances, but their offense wasn't really there. So maybe it was just a one-off, that comeback against CBJ, and we'll see if they, the price-wise, it's hard to argue it here. I mean, looking at the dog in this one, I mean, based on what they've done all year, it's hard to argue. How about your Vegas Golden Knights? This is a team that, we talk a lot about momentum on this show, and this is a team that kind of gets red hot, cools down, gets red hot. I swear you never really see this Knights team being a win one, lose one type of team. They seem to either be one or the other, Brian. What do you think about this game for them tonight? Is it a good spot for the Vegas Golden Knights?
Yeah, they've been very streaky this year. And I'll be honest, I came on here a few days ago and I said, I think the schedule sets up for Vegas to be in a really good spot. They had that revenge against Florida and they fell down 2-0 in that game and had to struggle late to try to get back into it. They did the same thing in the other game. I'm perplexed by this Vegas team. I've had a really good feel about them ever since we got season tickets in the opening year. But right now they're not playing like they normally do. You get a veteran team, and they've always been since the beginning when they had a lot of young guys, but the last few years have been a very veteran team. And when you expect a veteran team to come out and play well, they do. This year they have not. That's a major concern. The Islanders are playing very well right now. They're coming in. Sorokin's going to get the start for the Islanders, and he's been very good against the old Golden Knights. I believe he's undefeated in his lifetime. I think he's 4-0 in Vegas. So he's coming in. He's playing very well lately. So he's against lifetime against the Golden Knights. He's got a .939 save percentage, a 196 goals against. So Vegas is having problems scoring. They're going up against a guy who is hot, and he's had success against them in the past. The only thing that is a situation for Vegas to want to look at them, number one, is the scheduling situation. I believe should be a profitable one for them. But I mentioned this one of the other times I was on, somebody posted a stat, and I forgot who it was. It may have been the Vegas Golden Knights website, something to do with that. But they talked about how Vegas does at home when the other team comes in with a day of rest and 2 days of rest. And in 2 days of rest, the teams are terrible in Vegas. Now, they got here. They've been playing well. They came in on Tuesday. They practiced yesterday. Spending 2 days in Vegas is a big deal for a lot of teams. Now, they do play hockey in New York. So New York is another one very similar to like a Miami type of thing where there's plenty of things to do. But that's somewhat of a concern. I would be on the Islanders. If they didn't have the nice run they're on right now. But I can't trust the Knights. So I'm going to be sitting this one out. I may play the Knights team total under because since Vegas has got, since their starter went out, they've got to use two younger guys. And the offense has suffered. But maybe Vegas minus under 3.5 team total, something to that effect. But overall, this is a team right now that I'm just frustrated on because they're not playing the way they normally do. And usually, and you guys know your teams, you know your Montreal, you know your Torontos, you know your Buffaloes. Speaking of Buffalo, that's a deserved line in this one tonight. I'm not going to lay 350 or 380 or whatever it is on Colorado, but Jesus, that Buffalo team's been bad. But yeah, Vegas.
For years.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what's
out
going
of
on.
nowhere. I don't know how they just started suddenly playing so bad, the Sabres. But it is, as our good friend in the chat, TJ Salvatore, will always say, it is his favorite goalie starting tonight, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen for the Buffalo Sabres. They used their other goalie last night, Colton Ellis, I think it is. I think I pronounced his name right, against the Mammoth. But, Bryan, I just wanted to mention, because no one's mentioned it in the chat yet, and they always ask about like that Vegas first period over. During the first 10 or 15 games of the season, it's profitable, but then it kind of dies down, and it has for Vegas. Overall, in the first period, the over is 10-6 in Vegas games, 6-3 at home, 10-6 for the Islanders overall, 4-4 on the road. Those numbers just don't put any confidence on taking the over 1.5 in this one. And then they even looked at the VIG, and books have priced it a lot lower than what the Vegas ones have been in the past this season. I think it was at minus 125, which is pretty much as low as I've seen a Vegas first period over.
Yeah, Vegas, the reason why the first periods are going over is because they're giving up a goal early. They've done that. I talked about this for a while, and they went 2 games where they scored the first goal. And then, like I said, the Florida game, they give up the first 2 goals. Last time out, they gave up the goals to Anaheim when they played them. So, yeah, it's the Vegas defense in the first period that's been struggling. The offense has been struggling the entire time. And when they play a veteran team, and we saw this when they played Tampa Bay, we saw this when they played Florida, they just cannot get down into the other opposition's spots to get set up on offense. They're taking too many shots from up above from the defensive guys. They just can't get into their own game plan. And I don't know if it's just having new guys around, and obviously Marner's a big key to that. But he's very good when he brings it in. He brings it in better than anybody, and Eichel's very good at that. But those 2 guys are the only ones that can do it. And right now, without with Stone being injured, he's basically their best two-way player. Without him, the power play has been terrible, and I don't trust the Vegas offense. Defensively, yeah, they've been pretty good considering the goalies, and the goalies have done a pretty nice job. Schmidt, I believe, will be going tonight. It's his turn. They've been switching him off back and forth, and he's been the better of the 2. So, yeah, I wouldn't play that first period over.
Both teams are rested here. Both teams haven't played since Monday, so a lot of times I do like to look towards that with unders for some teams, but again, I've talked about on the show, I can't find myself backing too many teams that are in desperate situations, but Vegas, they're a hot or cold team here, guys. They either win or they lose. They're not, I swear to God, this team never wins a game, then loses a game, wins a game. They're either playing well or they're not right now. So, but this Islanders team, Carm, you've talked about this team impressing you offensively a bit this season. Do you think they're going to ultimately, at the end of the season, maybe be a better home team than road team, and it won't even be close? Like, they do have some younger guys in the team. Their offense has gotten better. We got to give them credit. But do you think that maybe there could be a road-home split to be said about this Islanders team?
Yeah, I think so. When you look at that, and in years past, they've been like that, Andrew. I have to sort of harp on the same thing. We're in the first quarter of the season. There's a lot of NHL to play, and a lot is going to change. But some teams are playing some exciting hockey, and you want to try and make some money off of them, kind of like the Anaheim Ducks. But you look at the Anaheim Ducks, and they're sitting on what, 23 points, 24 points, something like that. Their projected point total was 84. So they're on pace to definitely eclipse that number. Teams like Pittsburgh are starting to drop off a little bit. And the worrisome thing for the Pittsburgh Penguins, when we look at it, and I'll get to the Islanders in a second, is the Pittsburgh Penguins are going to be a seller at the trade deadline. This isn't a team that's going to go all in and get rid of assets to try and make to try and win a wild card spot in 7th or 8th, because they're not going to finish top 3 in the Metro to make a playoff run. Sid's going to end up somewhere. Malkin's going to end up somewhere. I have to believe that these guys move and Kyle Dubas accumulates some assets to rebuild that team, and maybe they do get lucky and get that number 1 pick in McKenna. So, with that said, even the San Jose Sharks winning games, but come on, realistically, the Sharks are likely going to finish last in the league. So as far as I'm concerned, the Islanders, Andrew, Matt Schaefer, the guy wasn't even
Buffalo.
on.
Not Buffalo last in the league.
No,
Buffalo's
no.
the worst.
Listen,
Buffalo's
the worst thing that could happen to the Buffalo Sabres is they were in the lottery with the best chance to win and finish second. And the number 1 pick that year was Connor McDavid. Imagine the trajectory of that man's career if he had to play in Buffalo. He would not have changed the team. And,
if I'm Gavin McKenna and the Buffalo Sabres win the draft lottery, I'm going back to Penn State for 1 more year. I'm not going to Buffalo. I'm going back.
Eli Manning on him, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, pull an Eric Lindros. I will not play for this team, and don't draft me. And it happens. It's just the way it is. The Islanders, they're a fun team to watch when they're scoring goals. When they're not scoring goals, not so much fun. A friend of mine has season tickets to the New York Islanders. I don't know why he puts himself through that pain, but it is what it is. It's kind of like Leaf fans in the playoffs. My friends, every year they're already buying parade tickets, and then they get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs.
Just think about all the money they'll save this year.
Yeah. Brian, what do you have up to promote at WagerTalk today?
Well, we lost our game yesterday. Now 7-2 in hockey. Still a pretty good run. We won in the MAC again. I had Toledo just been dominating the MAC. I believe we're on a 29-13 run in college football right now. Number 1 the last 6 weeks in college football. Loving the card this weekend. I got to start putting some of those up. We still have that. I believe they're going to have the deal for the whole weekend in football. So looking forward to that. Actually swept the NFL last week, and that doesn't happen very often. So very happy about that. Everything's going really well, but I don't have the same luck in overtime as Andrew does. But I'm going to have 2 plays up in hockey today, and I'll be putting those up after the show.
Awesome.
Well, Brian, you almost did if the player wasn't offside. If the player wasn't offside, you almost did have the luck. That was brutal. That was brutal. That of course, that's how the Oilers get a victory is, an offside call going in their favor. And Gary Bettman called in and said, "We can't have McDavid on a losing streak here. We need to get the Oilers some wins." But yeah, not just hockey, Brian, football as well. You're getting the job done. Who doesn't like Monday night football? Well, how about Wednesday night football? That's the NCAA for you right now.
That's right. Yeah, it's been really good all week long, and we've done very well in these smaller conferences over the years, the Sun Belt and everything. And those are the ones that play during the week. And very, very excited for another week. We've been on a really good run on Saturdays too, so cannot complain at all.
No, you can't, man. Keep on
Drinks
winning.
on Brian.
Drinks on Brian. Yeah, I may come. I think my next trip to Vegas, Andrew, I'm usually there this time of the year. I'm not. Money's going somewhere else, but May is probably my next trip to Vegas. I'll head down there just before the World Cup, get a bunch of futures plays in, sign up for the Circa Millions and Survivor, make my annual donation, and then move on from there. But let's talk same game parlay and pod. Do you have a same game parlay, Mr. Graphics guy?
We have a same game parlay, Carm, and we are off a big winner last night.
Yes,
we were off a big winner last night. It's funny. I've given out ones at like plus 300, plus 400, and those ones haven't hit. And then the 2 that I gave out at 10-1 or higher, those have been the ones that have hit so far, which is kind of funny. But the shot props went really well yesterday. Those were sweat free. But I will admit, you got to be lucky to be good and to hit some of these same gamers or the prop parlays, whatever we're calling them. and it was an empty net goal assist for Logan Cooley that cashed our ticket. But guys, again, we're sprinkling on these. We're sprinkling on these every single time. And all we got to do is hit maybe 1 a week, 2 a week as a bonus, especially with a price like this one. So we got a handful of legs in this parlay. Kadri to get a point. Farabee to get a point. Those two guys playing on the same line, of course. Hudson to get an assist. He's done very well against Dallas. Suzuki to get 1 point. I feel like the captain will step up after they got destroyed against the LA Kings. Batherson, 2+ shots on goal tonight against the Boston Bruins. Bruins actually giving up some of the most shots on goal in the entire league. And Shane Pinto parlay at least 1+ point, as Pinto just signed a deal today, Carm, and maybe he'll celebrate by signing that deal and get some points for his team to prove why he deserved that contract. So plus 1354, guys. And of course, you can see the top right corner at McInnis Picks. I'm always tweeting these out. I'm tweeting out props. I'm tweeting out live plays, but I like this one quite a bit. So let's go back to back. Kadri, Farabee, Hudson, Suzuki, Batherson, and Pinto. We got a comment from Steve asking about straight bets for some of these. The only thing is that some of these are alternative numbers, right? So the Batherson one with 2+ shots on goal, his regular number is 3. I don't want anybody laying minus 220, Carm, on a single prop bet. That's why it's in the parlay. But hey, the Lane Hudson assist, the Farabee prop, all that stuff with the ones that are good prices, help yourself. Go ahead and definitely take those straight if you'd like to. But these are more of a little sprinkle on these parlays, and we'll try and make some money. If you guys notice, we're always trying to match the lines, and we're always trying to get some head-to-head data and all that good stuff. So, iMonkey, we are not looking at minus 220, 220 player props. But let's keep it going, guys. Let's go back to back. Carm, you have a bankroll play. It's in a game that I featured actually in my prop parlay. So hopefully we both have success in that game. But what do you have for us for today's pod play?
Yeah, I like the odds on that ticket, plus 1354. That's also Dan Alexander. He has one of those Amex. What are those black ones called? The ones that have like no set spending limit. That's his PIN number for that card.
1354.
Amex
okay.
Black or whatever. Dan, you there?
We're giving
Pretty
away
sure
Dan,
credit cards don't have pins, Carm, but nice try. Nice try.
Oh, they do in Canada. That's actually, I always forget about that stuff. With,
in the
America.
U.S., it's a lot easier to steal somebody's identity in the U.S. You know, you get the credit card, you get the ID, and you don't need no pin.
Dan, I gotta say, since you're on here and you mentioned that, and I know that people that go from America go to Canada, there's gonna be things that piss them off. Nothing that makes me more mad when I'm at a bar in the States and I have to sign a paper every time I buy something. Every time I'm at a bar, I don't want to. Every time I buy a drink, I don't want to sign a paper. So I just
tell them to keep the tab open. You don't have to do that.
That's what I do, but I'm not usually a tab guy always. But every single time I buy a drink, I don't want to sign something.
Yeah,
that's our card. I can pay with my phone at bars.
That's why.
Apple
that's
Pay.
why I just have Carm buy all my drinks. And I just say, all right, Carm's got this one. All good.
I gave Dan and Andy Lang 150 drink tickets at the.
They never stood a chance, Carm.
At the Westgate.
They never stood a chance.
They never stood a chance.
Well, here's the thing that I didn't get.
Come back and all the drink tickets are gone.
Here's the thing that I didn't get, Carm, is you would be like, oh yeah, you just go up there and you place a bet at the sports book, and then you can ask them for drink tickets, and then I would go up there, I bet the same amount that Carm would bet, and then they would hand me a drink ticket. Carm would go up, make a bet, they give him like 50. It was preferential treatment, Carm. There was preferential treatment going on.
I'm not gonna lie, it was the couple guys that work there at Westgate do like me. They watched the show, so kudos to them. I think
it was something about the hair. I think they were like, well, Carm doesn't have any. We got to give him drink tickets. Stan has a great head of hair.
I got to get my makeup person to get that shine off my dome. But with that said, Dan, before I get into my pod play that everyone is waiting for, I got to tell you a story, guys, real quick. This is the funniest thing I have ever. If you're a Seinfeld fan, this sounds remotely familiar to Seinfeld, an episode. A guy here north of the border, and probably about like 30 minutes from where I live, steals a bus filled with passengers. Yes, a bus filled with passengers, because the driver stopped to get a drink or something, take a quick break, gets off the bus, closes the door. This guy enters the bus, steals the bus, and continues to make all of the stops when people were ringing the bell, and he's letting them out. Then some guy tries to get on the bus with an expired pass, and he refuses to let him on and makes him pay the cash fare. This is a guy who eventually they caught up to the bus and they arrested him. Can you imagine? This guy steals a bus, makes all the stops, refuses to let a guy on because his pass is expired. Only in Canada would that happen.
I couldn't believe that. I saw that headline too. He steals the bus but still picks people up. That's priceless. He's like, yeah, I'm going to steal this bus, but I'm going to still do my job. I'm going to still do the job of the bus. You got to love that. You got to love that.
All right. With that, okay,
I think Dan's hair might be worse than Brian's hair today. Whoa. Hey, you know, guys, there's a reason why Dan has a black screen right now, right? I don't know if Dan's done the full
I'm the man of mystery today. I'm the man of mystery. It's early morning here in Southern California.
Yeah,
he's in solitary confinement. They give him the stuff to run the show, but they don't give him any light. So that's just goes to show he is.
I swear, people don't like Dan saying, "Oh, doesn't want anyone to see him." I have no idea what bedhead or what he's dealing with, but I don't know if anybody else can relate to this, and I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but I don't mean to do this on purpose. My girlfriend always says if she says something like, "Oh, I like that shirt," then we're about to go out somewhere. She's like, "You changed." Or if she says to me, "Oh, I like that you have long hair. I went and got a haircut the next day." She's like, "I swear to God, I don't know what the point of me saying I like what you have going with something, because it's almost like I don't even want the compliment." And when I look at Dan's hair and I think about how long he grew that hair, I don't know that I'd be able to have it in me to grow my hair for like longer than like a month. Like I think I have hair too long right now. Like usually I'm getting a haircut. And so I'm dealing with it right now. Like I literally yesterday, my girlfriend was like, "I got a haircut." I'm like, I don't know.
I'm going to talk about my pod play now. My pod play loses, I will shave my head. All right. RJ, God bless you, man. All right, guys, this is pretty much a hold your nose play. You guys are going to be like, what the hell was Carmine smoking last night when he came up with this? I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. And I don't drink hard alcohol. It's beer and wine for me. Yes, it's the Calgary Flames, -1.5, +160. This is an eye test one for me. The Flames looked really good, I thought, against the St. Louis Blues in that game before eventually losing 3-2. Yes, they came on the losing end. And the Sharks are a little overvalued right now, just the way that they're playing, because they're winning some games. But their trips to Calgary have not ended well for this team. The last 12 games between these two teams, Calgary is 11-1 against the Sharks. 8 of those 11 wins have been by 2 or more goals. I get it. It's hard enough getting Calgary to win, but to win by 2 goals, I say it's possible. -1.5, +130, 200 to win, 320 profit. Add to that bankroll and get Dan and I to the Super Bowl. That is the pod play today.
Carm, the Flames are having trouble winning games as it is. They're having trouble winning games in general right now. You're asking them to do you a big favor. That's a tough task. That's a tough task.
I've put in a call to a couple of my friends that are in Calgary or in Alberta. Joe Madden, who does a fantastic show hosting, and she'll be hosting Last Call tonight. You'll be on talking some player props in the football game. And then, of course, we have a lot of guys. We have some people in our chat who are from that area, but former TSN analyst, and now she does the Calgary games and the Calgary football games, Natasha Senakowski. I'm just going to get them to show this clip to the Flames and say, "Flame on, we need a victory tonight by 2 or more goals."
I'm up for it, Carm. Speaking of which, I'm also up for at least 2 best bets in the NHL tonight. Not a bad slate. I really liked Wednesday and we cashed that 5% play, but at least 2 plays for me up and available, wt.buzz/AM. Also, NFL player prop, 11-2 NFL player prop run for me. If you want some free plays, as you mentioned, check out Last Call. And if you want some free plays in the NHL, well, hopefully you just watched this whole show and you got some. But if you want more, you can go to my X. I'm always tweeting out plays that I like, of course, as well as that same game parlay or prop parlay that we are doing every single day. So look forward to a great day in the NHL. Let's try and keep the momentum train going, hoping to build off that 5% winner last night. And thank you to all of you guys that joined. One last thing I wanted to mention, Carm, because I think it's the best deal. I tried to tell people yesterday that we're buying the 5% play. I tried to encourage people, instead of buying that 5% play, to jump on board. This is the best deal. Sorry, Dan, for messing that up. But 10 days of picks for less than $10 per day. This is the great way to go. Right now, the 5% play yesterday was $35. All right, $99, 10 days of picks. That's any college basketball, any NFL, any NHL, my Great Cup best bet in the CFL, every single thing I release, and that works for Carmine as well. So that's it for me, Carm. I had to mention that. I really don't think that buying individual plays is the move. Using the packages and specials that WagerTalk has, like that one, that's the way to go. So that's all I've got for you, man. That's all I've got for you. Close things out, Carm.
Yeah. For me, 2 plays up this afternoon in a World Cup qualifying. These are the last 4 days of qualifying for next year's World Cup. And then some of the second place teams in Europe will have to go through a playoff. Italy's going to be one of them. They very well may miss the World Cup again for the 3rd straight World Cup, but hopefully they don't. A couple plays up, actually 3 plays up in the NHL for me tonight as well too. So maybe the 1 day all access, or grab this this great package, 10 days for $99. And that's a good one because I have a 5% play I'll be loading today up for NFL football. Really like this play, of course, and that's why it's a 5% play. 3-0 this month with 5% releases, including our last NFL play, which was a winner as well too. For someone who asked, am I betting the Canada game tonight? They're playing Ecuador, and I think Ecuador is bringing their best team, who finished 2nd in qualifying behind Argentina. This team has a stringy defense and plays extremely well. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise anybody if the game finished 0-0 or 1-1. Ecuador played 9 away games in qualifying in South America, and there was a total of 6 goals scored in all 9 games. A total of 6 goals scored. That tells you this team plays defense first. So I'm not expecting a goal fest tonight. Probably under 2.5, but I think it'll be juiced. But that's it for me, guys. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same bad channel, the 6 and 60. Let's see if we can go 6-0 for myself, Andrew McInnis, and Bryan Leonard. This is Puck Time. Thanks for watching.